Welcome, my dear students. This is the third lecture on culture. The third lecture on culture. And here we go today. We will talk about the culture theories. What are the five components of culture in sociology? The components of the culture is what the culture consists of. What the culture consists of. So the components of cultures are the main elements are symbols, like we said before, symbols, language, norms, values, and artifacts. Artifacts. Language makes effective social interaction possible and influence because the effect of the language is very, very important to acquire or to get a specific culture identity. Language is one of the most important points for that, of concepts and objects. Major values that distinguish the United States include individualism. If we talk about some countries like on the dimensions of Hofstede model, it comes to you like the United States is one of the countries which is very on individualism, on the scale of individualism and pluralism, competition, and commitment to the work ethic. Those are the things which, as example for the United States. Next, we'll move on to we'll leave now the theories and we will go to the culture particulars. Things which is very important that we have a culture. There must be some very important points. Those are cultural particulars, are features that are unique. Certain cultural traditions, cultural practices that are unique to any one culture. So it means that those practices in one culture make it different than practices in another culture, like or cultural particulars, that these particulars may be of fundamental importance because it's very important to the population, is indicative of the needs to study the sources of cultural diversity. Means because each culture is having its distinctive points, that's why we need to study culture of each society, or culture of each area. Okay. What is the culture differences theory? What is the culture differences theory? The culture, let's go to the theories now of the culture. What makes the culture difference? The theory is based on just trying to investigate why cultures are different. Is based on the idea that students who are raised in different culture settings may approach education and learn in different ways. So the way you are raised up, the way you are brought up will affect the way you will study, the way your life will be, the way you will act, the way you will behave, all these things. People from different cultural traditions may have an approach to education that differs from mainstream approach used in American school, as example. In the American schools, what is the critical cultural theory? And this is another point. Critical culture theory is the reflective assessment and critics of a society and culture by applying knowledge from the social sciences and the humanities. Critical theory maintains that ideology is the principal obstacle to human liberation. So, restraints by the human liberation, by the humans' ideologies. I'm not free to do what I want because people have their own ways of thinking and this affect them. What is the goal of critical theory? This theory about the culture. It's called the critical theory. Critical theory drawing particularly on the thoughts of Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud. Critical theorists maintain that a primary goal of philosophy is to understand and to help overcome the social structures through which people are dominated and oppressed. Questions and answers. That's what we are doing just now. Looks like a figure of questioning and answering. So that's how it's working. What is the goal of critical theory? What is the goal of the critical theory? So let's see what is the goal of the critical theory and how it works like. Let's see that. Well, critical theory, drawing particularly on the rights of Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud, like we said before, maintain that primary goal of philosophy is to understand and to help overcome the social structures through which people are dominated and oppressed. Okay? Okay, let's go to the next question. What are some of the primary theories in cultural anthropology? Well, this can be considered as a general summarized reading of the important anthropological theories like evolution, the evolution one, diffusion, particularism, functionalism, and structuralism. Those are the main theories. Let's see what is the culture epoch theory. Classicism, which emphasizes from form romanticism, which emphasizes values. So classicism emphasizes the forms, and romanticism emphasizes values of the imagination, and realism, which emphasizes depictions of life as it is lived. The culture theory, epoch theory, a culture is founded, this is the culture epoch theory. A culture is founded upon whatever conceptions of reality is held by the great majority of the people over a considerable period of time. Again, a culture is founded upon whatever conceptions of reality. So it's the epoch means a culture of reality is held by the great majority of the people over a considerable period of time, over a long time. Okay. Now, what's culture theory in sociology? The sociology. Culture theory is a branch of comparative anthropology and semiotics, not to be confused with cultural sociology or cultural studies that seeks to define, this is the culture theory, seeks to define heuristic concepts of culture in operational and scientific terms. So it's looking for the heuristic concept of culture. Okay. What about the culture reproduction theory? What do you mean by culture reproduction theory? This theory learn how to and when to remove the template message, or cultural reproduction is the transmission of existing cultural values and norms from generation to generation. And I believe this is very nice. This is very nice definition for the culture uh, reproduction. Reproduction means the that it comes to the next generations. It does not stop on this generation, but comes also to the next generations. As you know, all the cultures we learn from our parents, and you will teach your son and your daughter in the future. So this is how the culture is transmitted from one generation to another generation. Uh, Also, I have here, I think I came to the end of this class and we will watch some videos. I will give you the link down and we can go and watch them about the culture theories. Thank you so much and have a good night.